All right, Mr. Cox, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Ready to hit it up and go ahead and tell them what we're gonna talk about today as I turn my light on. I didn't have my
All
light
right,
on. Go
man.
ahead.
Now that we back from the Thanksgiving break, hopefully you guys didn't miss us too much. But we got a good show tonight, man. It's stuff that we've talked about before, but it's good stuff. We're going to talk about unpacking the media's narrative about Black communities. We talked about this before and how the mainstream media, they need a fall guy. They need somebody to blame for all of the issues in the country. And unfortunately, it seems like our community, particularly Black men, are the target. So we're going to talk about that today, talk about how stories shape the way the world sees us, stories shape the way we see ourselves, but what happens when those stories are distorted, when the lens is cracked, when the narrative about Black communities is written not by us, but about us. Today, we're unpacking the myths, the headlines, and the stereotypes that have painted Black life as something less than and reclaiming the power to tell our own truth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's what we're gonna try to do. And we see it every day. We see it
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. And before we get started, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man. I mean, that's how we get our videos out there, man. We just need you to hit it. That costs nothing for you to hit subscribe and like.
There you go. Thank you. Gents Making Sense on YouTube. Spoutable
Spoutable.
at Gents MS.
Yep.
Okay. Just hit them up. And also, as we get started, I want y'all to know we're going to do this up front. We're going to promote Black businesses, Actively Black. It's a company that sell active wear, compete with Nike and Adidas. Good stuff. Just give them a look, y'all. Go to their website, YouTube channel, or whatever. Supplement, another one. It's a company, a Black-owned company that sells water bottles and stuff. I got one. Keep it with me all the time. It was most famously seen with what's his name? Beyonce's husband. What's his name?
Jay-Z. Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z. Jay-Z was walking around town with one, and ever since then, a lot of people have asked questions about it. But yeah, let's just support our Black businesses and stuff during the holiday. Let's spend some of those millions of billions of dollars with some Black companies.
Not millions, trillions.
Trillions of dollars. Yeah.
Black people spend over $1.5 trillion a year.
Let's get some of those millions and billions of that $1 trillion to Black people and stuff. Let's do the best we can anyway. Thanks a lot. This subject, like you said, we're gonna go right into it. The power of the media narrative. I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of the media narrative, real quick, and then we'll go into what we're really talking about. The media just don't report; they frame stuff. Look at what Donald Trump is doing with the Somali community now in Minnesota. Look at what he's doing. He's framing it so the American people that are so stupid sometimes and don't do their own research and depend on what they hear from that stupid box, the TV. I'm not saying don't look at the TV. I'm just saying do your own research. But he's making it seem like all Somalians are illegal aliens and they're stupid and they took all the money from COVID-19, the PPP programs, and they all were criminals and stuff. When in Minnesota, most of the Somalian people there are American citizens. They came here the legal way. They got their citizenship the legal way, and most of them are citizens. Most of them are business leaders and upright citizens. Yes, some of them did game the system, but name me anywhere in America where we didn't have people gaming the system with PPP. Look at all the people that have been tried and found guilty on those charges and stuff. But that's just one thing that show you how you can frame, the media can frame everything and make it seem like the Black community, African community, the Muslim community is bad community and everything. For generations, Black communities have been portrayed through narrow lenses, crime, poverty, and dysfunction. All those things can be true at one time, but it also can be true that we are the builders of this country for the most part, and that we lead businesses. We are leading in education. We're leading in all other areas. So name me a culture or people that don't have crime, that don't have poverty, and are not dysfunctional. I dare you to show us. These frames influence public opinion, policy decision, and self perception. So you tell a person that they're stupid enough and they'll believe it sooner or later.
Uh-huh.
Tell the people that they're dysfunctional long enough and they'll believe it. And
Uh-huh.
I really believe that's what they do to us a lot. The media do to the Black people, Black community a lot. Tell us a little bit, Sulayman, about what you got on this subject and how they influence and even make us feel bad about ourselves.
Well, I think it's, I mean, what you hit on is 100% true. I think that, and you know that this is something that is very important to me, and that's image. And I think that what we can do as a people is to combat that, is to ensure that the right images, the right portrayal of us is being put out there, and to push back on the media when they try to portray, the Black community as being dysfunctional. Sure, there are dysfunctional people within our community, no different from any other community around the country, but we are not synonymous, or we're not the only community that has that issue. But United States has a desire to find somebody, some group of people they can blame for all of the bad stuff that happens in the community, that happens, excuse me, in the country. And unfortunately, Black people for a very long time have been the target of that. I've said from day one that I consider the United States military bought and sold, excuse me, the United States media bought and sold, and is the tip of the spear of white supremacy. The reason that people in this country feel the way they do about African Americans and about people of color is because what the media puts out there. One example would be something as simple as when you turn on the TV and you look at murder shows. I'll just talk about murder shows because I typically like to watch those a little bit. Murder shows. I mean, if you were somebody who just came in this country, you would assume the only people who get murdered in this country are white people. You wouldn't assume that other people in this country, Black people, get murdered, by Black people, white people get murdered by white people, Asian people get murdered by Asian people. You wouldn't think that. You would assume that white people are the only people in this country that get murdered because that's all you see. Those are the stories that they do. So it's a sympathy thing when it comes to the media. Let's portray that the most powerful a race of people in this country who essentially run the country are the ones that are being murdered, when that's just simply not accurate. That's the power of what the media can do to a perception. As far as we're concerned, what we need to do is, again, push back on that narrative. When you go out in town, when you go outside of your house, you need to recognize that you are representing the ethnic image of the people who share your reflection. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you say, I'm my own person, I do what I want to do, you need to understand that you are representing us. You're representing our ethnic culture when you go out of the house. So all of our sisters that want to go out here with bonnets on their head, and a lot of our younger brothers walking around with their clothes hanging off their body, unable to speak the Queen's English and things like that. You represent our culture. You represent our community, and you need to recognize that because they're looking for you to put the camera in your face or the microphone in your face so that they can show you to everybody around the world. I know I got off the subject a little bit, but I just
No,
wanted to put
no,
that out.
no, no, no. You hit all of it right on the head. And that's what we were looking for.
Mhm.
But there's a whole lot of myths about Black people in particular. And we're gonna go through the first one. We're gonna go through the first one, and that one is myth. Black people are lazy and unmotivated. You hear that all the time. God, that one really gets me. For a group of people that were held in slavery for so long and build so much of what America is today, how you can fix your mouth to say that this group of people are lazy and unmotivated. I just can't get it. And if we were at all, you could probably see why. It says it originated during slavery to justify forced labor and later reinforce the rationalizing of economic exclusion. So I gotta tell everybody they're lazy so I can whip their ass pretty much and make them
Sure,
work. That's
sure.
pretty much what they're saying. And then they're unmotivated, so why should we involve them in our economic success? They're unmotivated. They don't wanna work. They don't wanna do none of it. I'll let you attack this myth real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, really quick. I mean that what I would say to anybody is we're not the ones that went all the way around the world and stole the people from another continent to come here and build your country. So, I mean, it's as simple as that. You can't say that black people are lazy and unmotivated when we were taken from our, continent of birth, brought here and physically built this country. Not just physically, but mentally and intellectually built this, assisted in building this country to what it is. But again, that is a tactic that's been used far before slavery, but it's a tactic that's been used to make you less than. So when people assume that you're an animal or you're equivalent to an animal or beneath a human being, then they can treat you or mistreat you the way that we were treating this country. That's all this is about. The latest version of that is called Attack BEI, and basically tell everybody who's not white that is into a position of either authority or position of leadership or into any position that they got that position because of their color of skin as opposed to their ability. That's just the bottom line.
Exactly. So we're lazy, so we don't need to enjoy reap the benefits of what we've helped build in
Mhm.
America. So yeah, that's crazy. And we're gonna go to our next one. Our next one is
Before you go there, let me say
okay.
one more thing about that is, and you've heard me say this before,
Hmm.
but I will say to people who share my reflection, you are not less than. Okay. You go to school and you learn, you have craftsmanship with your hands, you can do the jobs that everybody else does. We've proven that for over 400 years in this country. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't deserve the job that you're in. You went in and you competed for it. In a lot of cases, you competed where the odds are against you. And I've said before, and I'm glad I work for a county that actually recognizes that it needs to have a diverse panel. It needs to have things that people don't see on your resumes, like where you live or what school you went to, so that they're not prejudging you. But we go in and we interview when the odds are stacked against us, and we still succeed the majority of the time. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, all that is pertinent to what we're talking about. And then the next one, black men are inherently violent and or criminal. Well,
You want me to roll with that, or you
yeah,
want to?
go run with that one because
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
gonna
we
take
talked
me a
about this
minute. Yeah.
last time we talked about this on our last podcast. I mean, that narrative and that is ridiculous. We know because statistics tell us, those of us that can look at a statistic and say, "Oh, okay, I see what you're saying." We know that the person who typically kills a person is somebody who looks like them. White people get killed majority of the time by white people. Black people get killed by the majority of the time black people, and so on and so forth. And it's because we live in proximity to each other. So crimes typically take place close around where you live or around your neighborhood. So of course you're going to commit crimes against people who look like you. It's simple math. Now, the notion that we are inherently more violent than anybody else, show me the statistics that show that. Show me the stats from the label, from CDC or Bureau of Labor Statistics or any survey or any scientific research that shows me that black men are more violent and criminal than anyone else. As I said in my last show, are you telling me there aren't any jails in Wyoming? There are no jails in Vermont. There are no jails in New Hampshire. There are no jails in Montana. I mean, please tell me that, because if there isn't, okay, we can have that discussion. But there are jails all over this country, federal and state. And there are people that look like you and I in there. There are people that look like white folks, Asian folks, all over across the board. We're not more violent. But what happens, since we're talking about the media, is the media portrays black men as being more violent. That's what you see when you turn on TV. They find the story that says, "Oh, well, this black man killed somebody or this black person killed somebody," as opposed to reporting on news. They report on specific news to change the narrative. And that's what you see, which is why you hear people say, "Oh, black people are more violent." It's not the case. No statistic will show you that black people commit more violent crime than any other race in this country.
There you go. And they go so far as to say that we're super predators. And that's how they justify building more jails. That's how they justify jailing us more per capita than other races and everything. This simple, and I call it simple, but it's not. It's really it's myth out here about us and everything. And so it makes it easy for them to do all the things they do with the prison system and everything. The next one is black women are
But
hypersex.
let me throw one more thing
Okay,
in.
go ahead.
Is again, I asked the question, and I always ask this question: if we're so violent, if we're inherently violent, we're such a criminal society or community, then why does the United States as a whole and its inhabitants, people who live here, residents of the United States,
Hmm.
want to be like us? I mean, you can look at everything in this country. You know, you turn on TV commercials, black culture. You turn on music, black culture.
Hmm.
You talk about some of the inventions in this country, black culture. If we're so bad of a people, then why are you always trying to be so close to us? Why are you
Exactly.
always, why at the NFL games, if we're so violent, if we don't create anything, why at the NFL games, all you hear is black culture? Basketball games, black culture. You know, Olympics. Who are the people that you want to represent the Olympics? Black culture. What are the songs
Exactly.
that you hear on commercials? Black culture.
Black
So if
culture.
we're such a bad people, if we're such a criminal people, why do you want to be so close to us? Why do you want to continue to use the stuff that we've created and made better for? Um,
Exactly. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So we're gonna move right along to the next one, which is black women are hypersexual or immoral. This one makes me laugh more than anything because, of course, you and I are married to black women.
mhm.
And, excuse me, we can't help it that the rhythmic movement of women, when they dance, when they walk, when they talk, is something that people see as sexual. We are a rhythmic person, period. If you look at all the films, videos, if you ever been to Africa, anywhere, we move by music. We, even when we were enslaved, the way we got through the day was by music and dancing and just being making making a good situation out of a bad situation by dancing and singing. Women are some of our black women, some of the most beautiful people on the earth because they're so different. There's so many different type of black women in this world, and they can they can take the hyper off and just say they're smooth. Black women are smooth, but this is how the media see it. They see him as Jezebel, which used to be accused of sexual violence against enslaved. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They're seen as Jezebel, stereotype from slavery, which was used by the slave owners and sexually violated and everything. Yeah, this part of it, I'm guessing, came from the lady of the house, the white woman, thinking that this black woman made her husband step out on them and everything. So I'm thinking that's where this one came from. When in effect, you got these nasty, supposedly Christian white men taking advantage of a situation of a slave woman. The myth is distorted because black women identify and contribute to harmful bias of healthcare, employment, and media representation. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, you know, as you get down to the brass knuckles of it, and we know
Mm,
what it's about. I mean,
yeah,
again, this is another extension of having people see somebody as less than, and then they can feel comfortable being violent towards them or treating them with disrespect. Black women are hypersexual, really? Because I can tell you, I mean, as a man, I'm married now, but I can tell you, I have been associated with every color in the rainbow. Now, I
exactly.
can tell you that that is not the case. I can tell you that I've been involved with some freaks that don't look like me.
Yeah,
So it's not black women, okay? People
yeah,
are sexual. It doesn't matter what you look like. People are sexual. Black women are hypersexual. That is a trope that's been used against us to assume that our women are, you know, flirtatious or, you know, just out there sleeping with everybody. That's not the case. Black people in the United States have always been the most conservative people in this country. I mean, you and I are of an age where our parents, come on, our grandparents, you talking about somebody who was conservative, they were very conservative.
Yeah.
Moral, really? I mean, immoral. Who's saying that somebody is immoral? It really? I mean, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Muslim, but I can tell you that the Jezebel term, that's not what they're talking about. What they're talking about is your appearance. A lot of these women out here with, 6 and 7 holes in their ears, septum rings, caked on makeup, all that type of stuff. That's what a Jezebel is. That's what they're talking about in religious books. That's not Black women. The majority of Black women in this country are conservative, very
Hmm.
conservative in their appearance, very conservative in how they act, because we were raised right for the
Yeah.
most part. We were
Yeah.
raised in a community and raised in a household that said that's not acceptable. So these are tropes. These are
Yeah.
tropes that people who don't like us try to use to bring us down, and
Every
it
co-
just makes no sense. Go ahead.
every community has its people that are different stripes.
Sure.
We're not monolithic at all. So you can't paint us in a certain broad stroke like they're trying to do. The next one I'm gonna move on to. Black families are broken and dysfunctional.
Now, I will say this, and this one I don't necessarily disagree. I think that about a third of our community, people like you and I who are married,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit more, maybe about 40% of our community recognizes where we are and that we have problems that we need to address. But that's not different than anybody else. Every other community has the same issues. It's just not highlighted. I said at the beginning of the show is that the media, our media, a lot of time our media will take and will highlight things in our community that are irrelevant. I have very, very strong opinions about people like Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry does it. Anything bad that happens in our community within 6 months, it's going to be a Tyler Perry movie about. That's just the bottom line. Let's exploit something that happened in our community. Let's make a movie about it so I can go make millions of dollars on it. That's the Tyler Perry type people that I'm talking about. And yes, there are people in our community I think that are out of order. You know, our media, Black media, you know, all you see is reality TV. You got people on TV yelling at each other, screaming at each other, fighting, acting like buffoons. That is what is highlighted in our community, on our social media. That is what a lot of our young folks look to as being entertainment. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with what that says. Black families are broken. 55% of them probably, or I'm sorry, not 55%, 30% of us are married. The majority of the men in our community are single. But we have about 20% of our community that gets the most television time. 20%. And that is what people see when they see Black people, as opposed to seeing you and I, or seeing some of these young men and women that are out here working and doing what they need to do. About 20% of our community gets all of the highlight. That's what they're talking about when they talk about crime. That's what they're talking about when they talk about the way somebody looks, the way they dress, the way they talk. It's 20% of our community. No one else in the United States, or in the world for that matter, is judged by such a small fraction of the community, except for African.
That's it. That's a good point too. How do they judge us, and by what standard do they judge us? Which takes us to our next point, which falls right into that category, which is Black families are poor because of bad choices. You know, man, I just that hits me the wrong way, because a lot of what we talked about, the tropes and everything, causes the poor Black communities, because we don't have access to resources that other communities have access to. And if we do, we're not educated on it. So yes, we could do a better job as a people helping ourselves. And we've talked about that on our show too, about Black communities helping ourselves. Just like me advertising these Black products when we don't get paid to advertise it, but we're trying to hold somebody up. Black communities could do a better job of helping each other so that we don't make these bad choices. You know, hey brother, hey sister, this is what I found to be successful. Try this instead of trying that. Instead of using your child's social security number to get another credit card. We're not the only one that do that. You know, you know that. We were in the military. We were in the military, and a lot of black men and women in the military got kicked out of the military because they cheated on a test or something. We weren't the only people cheating on tests and stuff. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's just all of these tropes
yep.
and all of these myths are because we're highlighted in the media more than often.
Well, we're over highlighted the media
Oh,
considering our population in
yeah,
this
that's
country.
what I mean. Yeah,
And
exactly.
then I would say to that is, and I want to have a conversation with anybody is, what poor people are you talking about? Because I mean, let's talk about black men. I'm just talking about black men. I mean, not even bringing in our sisters, but let's talk about black men.
Exactly.
30% of us are married. 30% of black people, men in this country are married, which means that they're probably in, doing pretty well when you have a wife and a father, and a husband and children. So 30%, let's take the 30% out of our community of black men, right? Over 50% of black men are in the middle class of the United States. Over 50% of us are in the middle class,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then 2.5 or almost 3 million of us black men alone are in the upper class. So what poor people are you talking about? I don't understand when people say, oh, the black community is poor. Really? Where? Show me where the black community is poor across the board. Sure. Are there places in certain cities and states around the country where you have a poor population of black people? Absolutely. But show me across the board where black communities are poor. Don't just show me Chicago, New York, LA, major cities in the United States who've always had poor people, by the way, and that there are poor people there as well, other than black people. Show me across the board where black people are poor. I can show you in Seattle, Washington, where it's a large population of black men, where they're in the upper class,
Mm-hmm.
but no one talks about that. I can show you in Washington, D.C., where I live, there's lots of black men around here that are in the middle class and the upper middle class. But you
Yeah.
never see TV cameras running around taking pictures of us.
Exactly. PG County.
Right. So I reject the notion that black communities are poor. In fact, I rebuke it to the pits of hell
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it makes no sense and it's not true.
And it ignores the systematic racism,
It happens every day.
inequities that we go through all the time. We don't have access to capital that most people have access to for our businesses and everything, our business endeavors and everything. But we are still successful for the most part. You gave good numbers that people would never, if you told this on national TV and you had a captive audience, they would be awestruck and stuff. They'll be like, I didn't know that. Is this really true? You know? So these
Well, when all you do is watch television, and that's what you got to keep in mind. There's a lot of people in this country that get their information from social media or television, not legitimate news organizations, and they believe it. Or they're from a part of the country where they don't see people who look like you and I. They don't understand. So
that's a
their
big
assumption, right, of you and I is what they've seen, on television. Like, and let me just get off the subject really quick is one of the things I think is really bad about our media is we don't put out the type of movies and TV shows and television that represents us. One of the really good things between the 80s, the late 80s, and the early 90s with the Cosby Show is every Thursday, people were watching the Cosby Show more than they were watching the Super Bowl. Every week, they were getting more people watching the Cosby Show than they get on Super Bowl Sunday. And what that did was, yeah, it was a television show. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that went on in that show that maybe wasn't 100% correct in our community. But the image that show put out so that people could look and say, oh, not all black people are like good times and live in the projects in Chicago. That there
hmm
are black people out there that live in the brownstones in New York City, in the high rises in Chicago, that live in good neighborhoods and raise their families respectfully. That's the good thing about having things on television that represent us. That's why I'm so hard on Tyler Perry. I'm like, because every single movie that he puts out is the bad dark skinned black guy, the good light skinned black guy, and the woman is poor and was getting beat on. And I'm like, where is all this color purple shit coming from? Where's all this Mr. stuff coming from? I haven't seen that. So it's important to have good images on television, different images that people can look at and go, okay, there's a different version. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good off ramp there to get on, because before we end this up, we're gonna talk about one particular person. And I just got the back of the hair stand up on the back of my neck on this one person, and I want to just try to highlight how one person in the media can attempt to change the narrative or try to change the narrative of Black people and people in general. And then we're going to go to the counter narrative, how we resist all this stuff. So the person I'm talking about is Stephen A. Smith. I'm sorry, brother. You graduated from a HBCU. You've done a good job of highlighting HBCUs, going to the school, getting money to those schools by having HBCU football games, kind of mirroring ESPN's Game Day, where they go to a Black college campus and him and Cam Newton and somebody else and all of them do their show at that school, bringing a lot of money in and taking in and giving a lot of publicity to these schools. That's all fine and dandy. But when you go on TV the next week and you start talking about Black people in general and saying, and I'm not even going to talk about the astronaut right now. I can't remember his name, the senator from Arizona. But when you start talking about Black people in general, why we so hell bent going against Donald Trump? Why do we don't want to listen to Donald Trump? It's obvious why we don't want to listen to Donald Trump. Donald Trump don't give a damn about you, Stephen A. He gives a damn about what you can bring to the table for him. He knows you have a big Black audience, that a lot of Black people look at your show. And if he can get you to say good things about him, just like the Dallas Cowboy owners, Jerry Jones, you clown him all the time, but when it gets right down to it, you in his luxury suite, whining and dining with him. You know what I'm saying? So you are a vehicle in the media to get their point across to people and widen their audience. You are being used as a little boy at the ESPN studios. And I know you don't give a damn about what I say because I ain't got the money that you got. But I do have an opinion, and I can say my opinion any way I want to. You can't do a damn thing about that. You can sue me all you want to. You won't get nothing. I'll give you all my bills. Okay. Okay. That'll be good. Somebody pay them off. But the thing is you're being used and you think that you are a voice of Black America. You are not a voice of Black America. Stick with sports. Even in that genre, you didn't really play any sports. You have the gift of gab, and that's what you're good at. Stick with it. Stick with sports. Get out of politics. Nobody gives a damn about what you're saying about politics. We really don't, especially the military, which is near and dear to both of us because we actually served. And you have an opinion about something that you didn't do. You are entitled to that opinion. But when you're entitled to that opinion, we would think that you'd have somebody that's been in the business, in the media business for a long time. We would think that you'd be very careful about what you talk about.
Senator Kelly, that's his
Yeah,
name, Senator
Senator
Kelly.
Kelly. That's that. Thank you, Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly is a war veteran. He is a combat pilot that flew over 2,500 hours or something like that, and on and numerous combat missions. And not to even mention that he's been in space at least 4 times. Uh, You're trying to tell him how to speak to military people.
So, I mean, are you finished?
You go, yeah, I'm finished. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, Senator Kelly is a military brother of mine. I mean, he served in the military, and he deserves respect. Stephen A. Smith should not even mention his name, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, anybody that's in the military will say the exact same thing that Senator Kelly said, which is we are bound by the Constitution. When you put your hand in the air and say that I am going into the military and I will defend this country, you are bound to not follow immoral or illegal orders, period, point blank. In fact, if you do something that you know is immoral or illegal, you can be prosecuted. And that's what the senator told troops. And I will say it. Any troop that's out there, if it is immoral or illegal, you should not do it. That's not what we do. Our military is not like that. It never has been and never will be. And that includes the president of the United States, the defense secretary, or anybody in our civilian leadership that gives you an order. Okay, Stephen A., you never served in the military. And I don't want to hear that I almost joined the military. If I had a dime for every time somebody said I
Yeah.
almost joined, I'd be a millionaire. Nobody wants to hear that. He has no right to say anything to Senator Kelly about what he said. He should learn from other military members what our orders are when we join the military. So Senator Kelly, if you're listening, you happen to hear this, do it again. You need to tell our troops that you do not do illegal stuff or immoral stuff in the military. You just don't do it.
It's nothing different that they don't hear every day. Doing
Exactly.
the chain of command, I was a first sergeant in the military, and I always tell my troops, don't ever do illegal orders. When they come to this, they say, First Sergeant, my sergeant told me to do this and do that. I don't think that's right. No, you won't have to do it because it's not right. It's
Right.
illegal.
You got to bring
Your sergeant can't make you go and get their laundry. They can't make you go kill somebody down the street because they mad at them and stuff. They can't use you as a tool. Yeah.
and that's not, and our military people have our own minds. We don't go out
Yeah.
and do stuff on our own, but we are trained from the time that we get off that plane to go to boot camp, what we are supposed to do, who we're supposed to listen to, and what our role is in the United States government.
And that's
Simple as that.
because we've always had, for the most part, moral
Leadership.
leaders.
Moral leadership.
Yeah.
So, so Senator Kelly did the right thing.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith should shut up. And,
Okay. Yep.
I mean, this
I'm
is a
glad.
guy who, how many times has he got on ESPN or wherever his podcast and ran his mouth about something he knows nothing about and had to come back and apologize? How many
Exactly.
times has he had to do that? He's a tool, the same tool that the people who want to see us fail use. He's not the first. Candace Owens is one.
Yep.
What's the guy that overweight guy in sports?
I know. It
He's
kind of
always talking about,
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, Whitlock.
Whitlock. Yeah. Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock. He's
Yeah.
another one that they
Yeah.
throw out there every time they want to throw shade at black people. Yeah, let's put him on, let him say something. Sage Steele was one on ESPN. She's another one.
Where's she at now? All of them. Where all of them at?
Well, they use them for what they want to use them for, and then they're gone. And Stephen A. Smith's going to go the same exact way that the rest of them have gone. There's a long list of them. I mean, you got Ice
Yeah.
Cube who run around
Yes.
talking about some platinum plan during the during the election. You got Snoop Dogg running around.
Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole list of them who they put out there. And I'll give my boy Roland Martin the credit for this. Roland Martin named it. He was like, there's black owned and operated media, and there's black targeted media.
Yeah.
What I put Stephen A. Smith and all those people in, they're black targeted media. What they do is they get somebody who tells them this is what you need to go and say because this is what we want to get out there. And so they're black target. They send them into our community to tell our people stuff and to get people to get on their side, as opposed to people who are speaking intelligently about our community and what's going on. You don't see much about them. Let me go through a list of a few people that I looked up for this podcast.
Okay.
These are people that we should be listening to who are educated, they're academics, they understand what's going through, or what we're going through as a people. Michael Eric Dyson, right? Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, academic, he's a minister, professor at Vanderbilt, and he was previously at Georgetown and Brown as professor. He's an author. He's written over 25 books, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you see him on CNN, sometimes you see him on MSNBC, but you
Mhm.
never see anybody putting a mic in his face asking him about what's going on. Eddie Glaude, who's another guy who was on MSNBC, Dr. Eddie Glaude, right?
Mhm.
Princeton professor, political commentator,
Mhm.
professor in the Department of African American Studies at Princeton University, right? This is one of our higher level education. He's somebody that we should be listening to, Black community, not Ice Cube, not Snoop Dogg, not Stephen A. Smith, Candace Owens, any of those clowns, right? Joy Reid used to be a commentator on MSNBC, right? Harvard graduate, right? Political
Mhm.
commentator, had a show on MSNBC from 2020 to 2025, right? Understands what she's talking about, studies it, learns it, is able to communicate it to our community. Bakari Sellers, right?
Mhm.
Those are our brothers that are from the South, know who his father is, Cleveland Sellers, right? Civil rights
Mhm.
leader. Bakari's on CNN. You should listen to him. He's an attorney. Again, his father's Cleveland Sellers. He's a Morehouse man. Worked for Congressman Clyburn and former Mayor Shirley Franklin in Atlanta. CNN political analyst. His book, I read his first book, My Vantage in Country. Excellent book. He wrote another one. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. He's somebody that we should be listening to. Nicole Hannah Jones, 1619 Project. You guys remember her from a couple years ago. North Carolina graduate, wrote the book about 1619, got the record straight on slavery and why Black people were brought here and what has happened for 300 years. They tried to bury her. They tried to essentially run her off TV because she was telling the truth about the reality of this country's prosperity and how it got to where it got. We should be listening to her. Jamil Hill,
Mhm.
sports reporter,
Mhm.
right? Good sports reporter. Ran off ESPN because she told the truth about the current president.
Yep.
Educated in journalism, sports journalism, very good at what she do. She's somebody that you should be listening to for information if you want good information. And then my last one is my boy off of Tony Kornheiser and what's his name? Michael
Michael,
Wilburn.
Warren, yep.
Wilburn, right? Northwestern graduate. Keep in mind, Northwestern has the best journalist school in the country, period. Hands
Mhm.
down. Graduated from Northwestern Journalism School, sports reporter, been in the business for years, understands what happens from a racial standpoint in the NBA, been around long enough to be able to speak to it. These are the people in our community you should be listening to. They took the time to go out and educate themselves and to go out and to prepare themselves to have an intelligent conversation. I don't care what Ice Cube has to say. He's a rapper. He's good at rapping. That's what he needs to do. He has no experience, no education in anything other than that. I don't want to hear anything about a political plan that Ice Cube has. This is a guy that made a song called F the Police and in words with attitude. Seriously? This is the guy that we think should be talking to a presidential candidate about political stuff. But no, those are the people, excuse me, that they put in front of the camera. And that is to blind you from seeing what's really going on. While they're picking your pockets and they're bust you upside your head, they put these people in front of you. Look at the person who's going to the Winter Olympics as a representative. First, it was Flavor Flav's goofy ass in the Summer Olympics. Now it's Snoop Dogg in the Winter Olympics. Snoop Dogg is from California. He's from Sacramento. What does he know about Winter Olympics? But yeah, that's who they put in front of you to blind you from seeing what's really happening to you, what's really going on in the country. And they'll pay him $400,000 or $500,000 a day to go over there and dance. 60-year-old man dancing like he's 20, wearing
Mhm.
kid clothes like you're 15. They'll pay him all that money because they know you're going to watch him because he has the same color reflection on his body as you. That's
Yep.
Black targeted audience as opposed to Black operated
Operating on there.
organization. So
Well
well, to go on
you
that and let people know that, just give you a few names of people that you should be listening to. And there's tons of them out there. There's tons of academics out there that understand what our people are going through and have gone through and the games that are being played by our political leaders. But it's not rappers, it's not entertainers, it's not sports figures. Got to get that in.
that actually concludes our podcast because the conclusion was what are current counter narratives and resistance. You just named them. Black-owned media, name that, podcasts, grassroots journalism, challenge these distortions and everything. Social media platform amplifies authentic voices, shifting the narrative. Something you talked about also.
Mhm.
Cultural storytelling, music, film, literature, reclaiming dignity and complexity. Every time we tell our own story, we break the cycle. Every time we highlight our joy, innovation, and resilience, we remind the world Blackness is not a problem to be solved, but a legacy to be celebrated. So, with that,
I mean, Malcolm X said this in 1962. Show me the white athlete that is on TV talking about politics. Show me the Asian athlete that's on TV talking about what's going on with China. What's the name? What was the Asian, the Chinese guy that played the NBA? Chao
Yao,
Ming?
yeah,
Yao
yeah,
Ming?
I mean,
Yao
yeah,
Ming. How many times did they put the camera in front of Yao Ming and have him talk about what's going on in China from their political standpoint? Show me the Portuguese soccer player. I can't think his name. Ronaldo. How many times they put the mic in his face and say, "Tell us what's going on from a political standpoint in Portugal," or Mbappe in France? How many times did they put the microphone in front of him? All the European players that we have in the NBA, for some reason, the microphone never finds them to ask them, well, why is Germany doing what they're doing to so and so? Or how come England is doing this? You never hear that. But when it comes to United States, when they want to hear something, they put the microphone in Farrell, Pharrell, I'm sorry,
mm,
Pharrell's face. Really?
mm, mm.
I mean, seriously? Pharrell? Why do we want to hear anything that he has to say about politics in the United States?
There you
But
go.
it only happens here in the United States in our community. Nobody else has to answer for what their country's doing. What about the Russian players that we have here playing, or the Ukrainian players? I never hear when they're at an NBA press conference after the game, anybody asking them about what they think about Ukraine. You never hear that. But some black kid gets killed in Chicago, and all of a sudden the media is putting the microphone in LeBron's face, and every black player um, in the NBA asking them, well, "What do you think about that?"
Yeah. So we got the story now. We've said everything we had to say about unpacking media narratives about Black people. We gave you the best case scenario on how to uh, have a counter narrative to the athletes that are talking. Suleiman gave you a list of people that you need to be listening to or looking at, books you need to be reading, and all the things that we need to do to tell our own story. The key to it is to tell our own story. Don't allow anybody else to tell our story for us. We have to do it ourselves. With that, I'm good. You got anything to add for this
I
great
just
segment?
I just want to have
Great segment.
I just want to say one comment, and again, it goes back to who they want to talk on television. I know for a fact that I have been in many different emergency scenes around this county and around this area. I know that I've been out in places where things have happened. Not once has anyone come up to me and asked me a question. I'm not saying that I would answer. I'm not saying that I would want to be on TV. I'm just saying that I haven't gotten that opportunity. And the reason I haven't gotten the opportunity is because they look at me and they say, okay, this guy might actually sound like he's got a little bit of sense. He might actually get onto the microphone and say something that we don't want to disturb the narrative. So we're not going to find him. We're going to go find the guy over there with his pants hanging off of him, sitting on the porch with no shoes on, eating food or something like that, and we're going to ask him. It's purposely done, folks. They know exactly what they're doing because there's a narrative that they want to push out about you. As long as you recognize that and you're in front of it, I think we can start putting dents in this game that they're being played by our national media.
Yeah. Once again, y'all support Black media, support Black businesses. Let's support ourselves. Let's get our own narrative out there. Let's counterbalance all this stuff that you got out here that are negative about us. Like I said, once again, peace out for another good show. We'll see you soon.